but it doesn't respond to us. It just is.
It's still Friday, April 19th, and this is episode 2 of season 3. Josh just had taken such a long break that this stuff is just bursting out of him. What is it? What are we talking about here, Josh?
Okay, so I'm an atheist. I do not believe in what most people would call God. And I've discovered that I have a whole set of really firm beliefs, despite what I would think of as an atheist, that I can't base on anything other than faith, and they have to do with what the universe is.
But they are not faith in a God.
Perhaps. I don't know. I mean, I'm not agnostic. I know what I believe and don't believe. I believe in the universe. If you think the universe is God, then I believe in God. I don't think you could believe in a God that wasn't at least universe plus. And so I believe in that before the plus part. I believe in an infinite universe that, there is no universe but the universe. If you said there is no God but God, and you said God is the universe, I'd be like, exactly. Yes. There's no universe before the universe. There's no universe outside the universe.
I'd say yes. I'd say I have no argument with that. I don't know that I'd say I agree completely, but yes, if you're saying there's no difference between the universe and God, okay.
Anyway, it doesn't not in my particular faith.
Okay.
Again, it's a faith.
Not in your atheist faith.
Not in my atheist faith that seems to almost have a God that we call the universe.
Mm-hmm.
But not exactly. So I just had not only these sort of visions of what the shape of the universe is and its cosmology that we've been discussing, but I also just had something close to a profound religious experience going to see the eclipse. It was truly moving. I was amazed by it. It was everything that you read about in religious experiences. And this was my second eclipse, and the first one wasn't like that. And there's a real difference. The first one, I was with just a few members of my family in a field in South Carolina, and it was gorgeous, and it was beautiful, and I loved it. And it was an amazing, amazing thing to see. The second one, I was in a large crowd on a beach in Ohio on the shores of Lake Erie, and it was profoundly moving. It was amazing.
Was the difference the people?
It was the people. It was being part of a crowd. And there's something about religious experiences. There's the experience of the hermit away from the crowd, which is somewhat of like the visions I've been having of this sort of ultimate monotheism, the ultimate there is no universe but the universe. That's what people tend to have out in the desert when they're away from people. But there's an ecstatic portion to religion. There's something else where you're feeling part of the crowd as well, and this is well documented. And so I don't want to say that religion doesn't exist. I clearly believe that religion does, and that it has been an important part of human evolution. That we can't ignore it. Undeniably, and it has guided the way our consciousness works. And so it's certainly something I've been thinking about. How can we address this without sort of falling into debate over existence of religion and one God versus another, or any of that stuff, but talk about it in a sort of interested point of view of a atheist believer, let's say. And this is a profound experience for me to realize that there is something there, and that something is the universe, but there's something else there, and that something is human belief and feeling. And that's what I was really experiencing as part of this crowd. As it got darker and darker, there was this tremendous sense of expectation and somewhat anxiety because, one, it could be cloudy at any moment. We might not actually get to see it. The clouds have been rolling across. We've been driving up and down those shores of Lake Erie for 3 hours that day already, trying to find a good sunny spot. We'd ended up on this peninsula sticking way out into Lake Erie, and everyone else had gotten there too.
Yeah.
And it was the best place to be. You got a longer time in totality. You were very close to the midpoint. It was an amazing place. And the crowd had this sense of anticipation. Everyone was there for the same thing. And we were all anxious and hoping and waiting. And as it got closer and closer, that feeling built and built and built. And, as a teacher, I am used to being aware of the people around me. I'm aware of their sort of what we call energy levels, aware of their focus. And I could feel everything focusing on one thing and the energy levels going higher and higher and higher. And I'm used to feeling that in a crowd and responding to it and being, helping direct it. And here I was just passively part of something that I was just focused on this event with everyone else. And then when it happened, it was just a shattering moment as the whole crowd saw it. I'm tearing up right now just thinking about it. It was beautiful, but it was also this feeling of it happened. It happened just as it was foretold to us, and here it is being revealed from heaven, this thing. And everyone's just staring in awe, just flat out awe. There was a pressure that built right as it was happening, where everyone became almost silent in a huge crowd, and it was spooky. It was wonderful. And then when it ended, there was another cheer because the sun had come back, and we weren't thinking we're going to cheer that it was over. It was a little bit of like cheering after an event. But it was also, the world continues to live, and it was truly moving in that sense as well. And I just wept the whole way back to the car. And then as we were driving back, I was shaken because of being part of this. I don't think everyone experienced it the same way I did. But
did the others in your family feel anything like this?
They were happy. They were excited. They were really glad. No one was quite as moved.
No one was
quite
moved
the
to
same
tears,
way.
yeah.
Well, I've been really in touch with the feeling of being part of the crowd, and it's something that I've trained to do.
You've been thinking about cosmology a lot,
and I've been thinking about cosmology exactly. And so I was thinking about what that is, and that side of religion, and as opposed to the God is the universe side of things. So God is the universe is, for me, the true God. This is what is. I believe in what is, and what is what is. And I don't have faith in anything other than what is. And that is the universe. And that is reality.
Isn't this enough? Just
this, right. And I think it is beautiful in that it appears beautiful. When we damage it, it appears less beautiful. So I think we're actually removing from truth and beauty when we, deforest a mountain. We're harming God in that sense. We're removing some of the reality that was there and then impinging on it. And I think that this is the aspects of essentially the false God. And the false God we tend to think of as evil and the devil. The father of lies, of falsehoods, of everything that's against truth. Because truth is what is, right? The universe. Truth is God. Truth is what is. The false God is lies, is the opposite of truth. False God does not exist. The universe exists. Not the universe doesn't exist. But these are what we produce as humans in our brains. Everything we do tends to be at a level one step away from the actual truth, right? Our perceptions can't perceive the truth directly. We can't see the world directly. Everything has to be filtered through our imagination. This is, the Buddhist belief that there is an existing world, but the world that we as humans live in is the world of illusion. And part of this is, all of the stories we tell to each other. And so are these stories, are these mere lies hiding nature? I don't think so. So art and stories and poetry are ways of telling something that's not precisely true, that brings to a higher level of truth, where we appreciate the beauty of nature, where we appreciate the truth of a mountain. That isn't there sitting there in the mountain. That's in the art we make about it. But that art is itself true and sort of a higher level of beauty. But it can go the other way as well. We can use lies for power. We can manipulate each other, and we do. And all of these things tend to remove from the beauty of the universe. They're moving in the opposite direction. And so this is where we get the idea of, in league with the devil, the power of the devil, the power of lying, the power of negativity. My wonderful philosophy professor, Elfie Raymond, said that the devil is the principle of negativity, the idea of not something. The idea, of causing someone pain, of lying to someone, of reducing truth. But we really shouldn't think of it as only this negative sense, because, again, poetry isn't truth in our normal understanding of truth, but it's a higher level of truth. Art doesn't look exactly like the thing we're trying to represent. It's not a perfect truth, but it gives a higher level of truth, and it is beautiful because of that. So these things that humans do, we, for a really long time, have often thought of as evil. Right? Human civilization is moving away from God. We have to destroy the cities. We have all of these bad things. But culture also produces beauty. And so both of these things are the false God. The false God is human culture itself, and it can go either way. But we know that lies are a path to power, and power corrupts. And that is, being in league with the devil. And, so this is exactly what I see Putin's power in the world being, that he is able to, without the world's best army, create the world's best liars. And he sends them out to every nation on earth, and they move towards this idea of authoritarianism, this idea that you can't trust reality, you have to trust the leader. You can't believe even scientists who are trying to tell you the truth. You have to believe what the leader tells you. So
just that is you would think that the powers of evil would destroy, but as I've been saying for a while now, the way that he works is he builds things up.
Right.
He just chooses what he builds up.
And these lies. This is also something we discussed, between each other, is that there's a world of ideas that exists outside of our individual brains. So a Republican knows what to say without having to need to be told, because there's this sort of larger milieu.
The idea of the smoke-filled rooms are no longer necessary.
They're no longer necessary. We have our own sort of operating systems of beliefs. And, once you have created this idea, they're very easy to manipulate. So, in my opinion, the first lie was racism. The first lie in this country. That's why they would talk about it as the original sin. Because it's what really broke us and left us not able to see our own truths. Because we were both trying to say we hold these truths inalienable and have slaves. So we clearly couldn't.
We hold these truths to be self-evident.
Yeah, exactly.
While we have slaves.
Same person, not just in general, but like the same.
Born in conscious hypocrisy.
Yeah, so we broke ourselves with this first lie, and this first lie moved into the anti-evolution movement, where basically white people didn't want to be related to black people who they clearly thought were something related to monkeys, and that whole thing wasn't going to work for them. And so the whole anti-science movement began with racism. And science had been pretty racist and was for a while after that. But science started to realize what a lie race was and started to move away from it as even a thing. It's not even, it has no validity at all, right? We can talk about gender as a social construct, but at least there you can see that there are differences between the biological sexes. There's a real thing there. There is no biological race. It doesn't exist. So this is a pure lie that has now moved us away from any kind of working with science. And then that got used by the same people who first needed to keep lead in the gasoline. So the oil companies were using the anti-science, even though they were obviously scientists, they were using anti-science doubts to get across their oil lies. Then the anti-global warming, same oil companies. This is the same system of duping people into believing lies that is now all cored back to their sort of original faith in their racism. And this was all faith in lies. It's the devil. It's the devil at work. So what does the devil get to do because of this? He gets to destroy the earth and, mine and drill for oil and pollute and all of these things because we believe these lies, and they're all based on this one, devilish lie of race in our country. And in my opinion, I can see a straight through line through all of these things. And this made us weak. And so Russia has been able to manipulate us in many ways because of this weakness. They're the ones that really were pushing the people against vaccines. They were before the Soviet Union fell. The KGB was pushing the liberal anti-vaxxers, and it became conservative anti-vaxxers under Putin, sending out these messages. Now, we have our own crazy ideas. He just boosts them and helps them and pushes them along.
Doesn't tear anything down. He just builds things up.
Yeah, and so he loves race, and he'll fund Black Lives Matter and anti-Black Lives Matter because he loves the concept of race dividing us. And every time we get divided, he wins in any way. And the more divided we are, the more people tune out, so he wins again. And it's this constant thing where it's clearly what we would see as the work of the devil: destruction, division, drawing a line between people, Palestinians and Israel.
My only problem with calling these things the devil and calling these things God is that this is the work of individual human beings across the board. It's people who are doing these things.
It is absolutely yes. And so
it's not Satan. It's not God.
Okay,
it's
so
people making choices.
The universe is a mountain just sitting there, right? And that mountain is just the mountain sitting there. The mountain, does a rock care? The rock does not care. Does the universe care? I care. I'm part of the universe. So in that sense, it cares, but not really. Like if the grizzly bear's coming.
The grizzly bear's coming.
I can't tell it I have children and I need to feed them. It's going to eat me. Because it doesn't care.
You eat the bear.
Yeah, it doesn't care in that sense, right? And so that's the universe.
Yes.
But we build this human world of ideas where, we've now developed like teams essentially in our understanding of politics.
Yes.
And one of those teams is purely dedicated to destruction. And they think there's a civil war coming, and
Yes, but again, either side calling anything in this the work of the devil
it's scary.
But it's a mistake because it takes us away from the understanding of what's happening. It's people doing things.
Well, what I'm saying is the devil is people. I don't believe in the devil as a thing.
I know you don't.
And so that's what I'm trying to get at is the lies themselves. This ability is something that we have opened ourselves up to. And we have a culture that has deep in its soul a willingness to believe its own lies, and that we must believe these lies to be our culture. And so we associate, statues for the Confederacy with being for the South, and for being for your state, and for history, and for heritage, and for your family. And if you want your family to have a history, you must keep that statue there. And so we firmly believe in the lies that we've made our culture out of. And this makes us vulnerable. And this is what Putin is after us with. We should be stronger as a democracy. We should not vote to help the richest people and harm the poorest people. And yet we do, over and over again. And we do this partly because of race and partly because of all the other lies that we're told, to keep our guns.
Because all the wealthiest people are telling us the same lies all at the same time from all of the same news sources. It's baked in, it's stacked against us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's because we've been believing lies since the beginning.
Yeah.
And we need to stop this, and we need to move past the lies that we tell ourselves.
And how do you move past an original sin that has hundreds of years of investment in it?
Yeah, no, we have to end the concept of race. Race is racist, and I have talked about this.
Can we start with eliminating the Electoral College?
That would be a good start.
I think that was built on what you're talking about.
Sure.
And I think that is right now, at least politically, what is perpetuating it, or at least making it possible for the rule of the minority to continue.
Right. I'm not pro critical theory in general, because reading for bias, I think, warps the thing you're reading. But the idea of critical race theory is looking at how race has indeed guided many of our institutions through history. And it's difficult to say it hasn't been happening. I think there are other things that have been happening in history.
No, a lot of people find it easy to say, but I know what you mean.
But there's definitely a through line of the lies of racism and the development of our modern society, and there's no way to argue with that.
It seems to me to be undeniable.
Yeah, and we need to start addressing that directly as a thing to get rid of. How do we address that?
Have you ever in your classes discussed there is no race, that this is a lie?
Yeah, and I mentioned that the people who believe in this are racists. And I say that anyone who talks about race is using race as a concept, which is itself racist, and there's no way out of this conundrum.
When you bring this up in classes, how do students respond to this?
They nod.
They're just like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
and it's interesting because the people who come from right-wing families, which there are a lot of them, they agree with that part. They agree with the idea because that's what the racists say, that there is no race. And that's why,
right.
And that's why they say that the government is racist against white people, because they're giving advantages to black people, and that's racism. All of these things, all of that is lies. Now there are people from different places. There are people with different backgrounds. They have different cultures. These are things that make us richer as a country.
Indeed.
And we should acknowledge that there are different groups of people. That's fine. But the idea of race and racism is racist.
We are Homo sapiens, and that's what we are.
Yeah, Homo sapiens, exactly. We are one, and we are one more than almost any other animal is. We are almost genetically identical, way more than, say, chimpanzees are.
Fascinating.
So chimpanzees from one side of the Congo to the other have more genetic diversity than, say, someone from England and Papua New Guinea would. You would think that those people would be much further apart. They certainly look different in many ways to us as humans, but they are almost not different at all, except for literally the skin deep melanin, the pigment. And that's just these things we inherited from Neanderthals as we moved out of Africa. These various differences. It's bizarre how much importance we placed on these things, and that they really haven't made us different groups.
It's not bizarre, like you said. It's very clear. It's extremely useful to the forces that want to control.
Right, and it's playing on our sort of evolutionary patterns.
This is what I've always seen as the real purpose of religion is social control. So it's all of these things.
But in a good way and a bad way. So if you're a society, you need to keep yourself together.
Sure.
Having a book of rules on how to keep yourself together and not kill each other is super useful. Ones that do that are religions that tend to continue existing.
Yeah.
Religions that advocate pure celibacy tended to die out. Those have happened over and over again.
Yeah.
Why did they happen over and over again? People who are celibate probably get a lot more done, right? These are why monks got to copy all those books. Mm-hmm. You do literally have more energy to do things.
Got it right.
So you can have a really successful group of people who've alienated themselves from the rest of society. They don't need anything from them. They can do everything themselves. But they're not going to live very long as a society. The next generation just isn't happening. All right. Yeah, I wanted to just sort of get at this idea of culture as being both good and bad. I want to come back to the idea of the devil. Remember, the devil is also Lucifer. So this is the light bringer. This is Prometheus. This is science bringing us knowledge. When we, as humans, describe anything, it's mediated through our description.
I mean, when you're talking about the New Testament, Wasn't the old Jewish concept of the devils as the mischievous forces in life? It wasn't evil. It was. Isn't the origin of this?
I don't know. I think you get to Babylonian stuff. The devils and angels in Judaism came out of the Babylonian captivity, and you're talking about really strange things, Leviathan and Tiamat and all of that stuff, and the biblical flood that was happening in the Babylonian version, and Gilgamesh and eternal life and all that.
So
stuff.
A completely different.
It's a completely different
cosmology.
religion that got stuck on there. Yeah. But the idea of science studying reality, the universe, but then bringing out of it something that becomes part of human culture, so we can use it, and it becomes the atomic bomb, and it's kind of inherently evil in that it just destroys, right? It's what.
But Chris Nolan makes a beautiful movie.
The ultimate sort of power of negativity is this ultimate destruction. But these were just theories about the nature of the universe that really were letting us understand what the universe itself was. But once we bring it into the human world, then we've turned it into this world of culture. Yeah. This is why Lao Tzu, when he was writing down the rules for living, put them on a bronze bell and then melted down the bell. Because as soon as you put something into words, you've moved it out of truth and into the human world. And the more you do that, the more impact it can have on humans.
Yes.
But the less truth it is. So math is perhaps our highest language of truth. You can't really lie in math, but as my colleague likes to say, figures never lie, but liars can figure. You can use math to say whatever you want, because once it's in the human realm, you can.
What about
use
music?
Music is beautiful math, essentially, and so I think it tends towards truth, and as shown by its beauty. But then there's all sorts of, not everyone perceives it the same way. We get into the human aspects of it, where I might not like a kind of music that you like as music. So there's matters of taste that are, I might think that my music is more true than your music, and that's like my God is more true than your God.
Well, but that's what I'm saying is any music not true? Is any music a lie?
I don't think so, but there's certainly aspects where I can like something and I might not like something else, or I could over time grow to like something.
But that's not dealing with its truth.
Exactly. So this is what I'm talking about with the culture having a truth that's outside us, would be things like music and math and the stuff where we've made these things to talk about truth, to talk about the universe, that are to a certain extent outside us. And this is, again, where I'm an atheist, absolutely. But there seems to be something beyond us that exists. And it's us, it's our culture, but it's like math and music. It's like what I was feeling at the eclipse. It's this larger feeling that we make ourselves, but is real, and is certainly something that is a through line through human evolution, that we have this ability to make something larger than ourselves, to hold ourselves together, to have communities that continue on.
Are you talking about spirituality? Is this a spiritual feeling that you're feeling?
It's something like memes, but like not the memes of...
When you were standing there at the eclipse and you had this feeling that you could not have expected and that you don't even know if other people were feeling, but it was affected by the other people being there.
Yes.
It sounds very spiritual.
Well, I think it's what a lot of people feel and then describe as a spiritual experience.
Yes, but you're not.
I was experiencing being part of a culture. And I think that's what a lot of spiritual experiences are. And I have a hard time with that because I don't feel part of a culture in many events in a church, for example.
Right.
I could feel it a little bit for a Christmas celebration when everything gets quiet and everyone's singing Silent Night together and it's really sweet. There's a moment there.
But you're not going to put your finger on that experience at the eclipse and say that was a spiritual experience.
Well, the same way like what I would be feeling in church singing Silent Night together. I feel part of a community. I feel tied to something. But it's not God. But it is real. But it's again, it's the false God. It's Lucifer. It's the light bringer. It's it's Prometheus. It's our source of knowledge and art and everything that humans create. It's both bad and good. So it's Einstein coming up with understanding relativity and the way the universe works, and then that being turned into atomic weapons.
So you're using Satan very much in the what is it? The Church of Satan? Where it's not there's nothing negative. It's a concept of human awareness and human knowledge and human ability, like you said, to take things from nature and make them real and bring them into I think that's what you're describing.
I think I need to have a podcast just on magic soon. But the ancient Greeks had the idea of.
But it's interesting because every time you say this is the devil, this is the it's not that this devil is not a force of darkness.
Can be.
It could be, but because knowledge can go in any direction, but it's not inherently
absolutely not. No, and it's
dark and over
time,
bad.
Particularly like in medieval Christianity, the more something was associated with humans, the more bad it was. And they got to the point of this sort of almost manichaeistic universe of completely two different sides, where there was this outside God who was the creator God, and then there was this was the Albigensians or the Cathars. They didn't believe that anything they saw was real. Everything was created by the devil. And so they became, so the Catholic Church for this heresy killed them all, proving the dominance of the good God, But yeah, I mean, they had debates like bishops having debates on the Catholic bishops saying, "Isn't the world beautiful? Don't you see the beauty in the world?" And they're saying, "No, the world is purely evil." So this is something that happened more and more within modern religion, is that everything having to do with humans and the world and desire and all of this is evil. And I disagree with that.
Right, you disagree with this, and what you're saying is that when you say Lucifer or the devil, you're more talking about a character. A character who can bring certain things to humanity, and then humanity chooses what to do with them.
Something like that. It's Prometheus.
It's not inherently bad or evil or dark.
So in Greek culture, there was the idea of the daimon, the demon. The daimon was energy itself, and it was the good luck you would have. It could be bad luck, but you wanted the good luck. You wanted the good energy. It was often a snake you kept in your house and fed honey and cakes, which is kind of strange because snakes don't eat those things. Maybe the rats did, and that's what fed the snake. But this was the good luck of your house, the Agatha daemon, the good energy, the Agatha Tyche, and this idea of the daimon was very much related to the idea of concepts of spirit, for example, later in Christian thought. But there is this idea of good spirit, evil spirit. Some religions put this into like two sides where there's good versus evil. I would say the universe is one thing, but anything having to do with humans is mixed and divided. Then you get into sort of the Heraclitan thing. You can't step into the same river twice. We're a mixture. Everything is a mixture of our intentions, which are a mixture of all of our thoughts together.
But I like this because this matches up with what I've been inoculating my children with against religion, which is that these are characters in a story, and that it deepens an understanding. No one is all good or all evil in reality, and if we can understand these as characters and read these stories as literature rather than religion, our understanding of them deepens, and our understanding of what these figures can be in life and in culture deepens.
Because all of that's the human side. All of that is the stories we tell ourselves to try and understand something that's bigger than us, that is beyond us, and that's the universe.
Yes.
And the universe is. It just is. And it's not mixed. It's not like part something.
Only the universe is the universe.
Exactly. It's not mixed up with other stuff.
There is one universe.
Exactly. So this is what I'm talking about, the difference between sort of a false god and a true god. But as you say, that's probably not the best way to talk about it.
It has a negative connotation.
It has a negative connotation.
The false god is evil.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about culture itself.
You're not saying your false god is absolutely not necessarily evil. It's humanity that casts evilness or goodness
Right.
on
And-
a thing
and
or a
to
piece
the
of knowledge.
extent that something becomes destructive, then it becomes the destructive
Yeah, well,
bad
then that's
side.
a whole other
Yeah,
way. You just
yeah.
need to have this. Your terminology needs to be discussed before you use it. That's all, because
Yeah.
like these instincts just kick in when you.
No,
say these
absolutely,
words.
absolutely. I'm thinking much more the way, say, Indonesians often would think of a demon. Demons are neither good nor bad, but they're pure power. And so you can work with them, but they're likely to get you in trouble.
Better have respect
Because
man, that
power
could hurt.
tends to corrupt.
Yeah.
And so the demons tend to corrupt. And so this is what nuclear power did to Oppenheimer. He was a good person who was partly corrupted by his own ability to find power, in literal sense, in what he was doing. So we have to be careful of those demons. They are dangerous,
And they actually exist.
and they actually exist in this sense.
Mm-hmm.
And there also are our inner demons, our desires, the things that control us, the things that we have to resist, but also give us energy, so that everything has these two sides to it. If you're stubborn, you could also be determined. If you're fearful, you could also be cautious. The two sides to almost everything inside us are these demons. And if they're working for us, we're powerful. If they're working against us, we are weak. If they control us,
We're lost.
we're lost. Exactly. Yeah. And so these are the choices that we've always tried to describe with religion. But I think what they're describing is the way human culture works. And that religion keeps going back to, but there's this other thing that's reality. And then there's culture that talks about it. And then religion is the culture, so it's talking about the reality. And we get, the Jewish Psalms, which are all about how distant God is, because you can't really describe God. Anything we use for words isn't going to succeed.
It's not going to be anywhere near God.
Exactly, because of the nature of God.
Yeah.
And so this is sort of what I'm trying to get to in a sort of atheistic way, I guess.
How do you describe the fact that the speed of light is the same no matter where you are or how fast you are traveling?
Yeah. And can I prove that? I can't, because the universe is bigger than me, and I can only test small parts of it.
Right here. Yeah.
Where it is right here, right now.
Yeah.
And so I believe it's the same everywhere, because anything else would be madness.
So I have to believe
I have to believe that. Yeah, exactly.
with my fists gripped tight.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, I needed to get some of that off my chest, and I really, 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 really wanted to put some beautiful eclipse pictures as the logo for this particular episode,
We'll
find
something good.
it was I have something.
Oh, the ones you took?
I have one that is really amazing. And actually, I'll describe it for a moment. Just before totality, the sky is actually getting dark. It didn't get dark until just before. Even with a sliver of sun, it looks still bright as a normal day. It's starting to get a little chilly, though. And then it's getting noticeably darker in the sky just before totality. A plane flew across the sun, leaving a contrail that perfectly bisected the sun. There was a halo of ice crystals around the sun. Now, all of these things happen all the time, but because it was happening during an eclipse, the shadows were crisper. And so I saw something like an eye in the sky that I had never seen anything remotely like that before. And it was all human interaction that we happened to be looking at, that the plane was there, right? Very much human. But oh my God, there was a giant eye in the sky, and it was part of what I was feeling as this sort of overwhelming event. And I understood it as absolutely part of being a person experiencing this with other people. But it was still, a cosmological event that I was watching. So anyway, it was really, really moving, and I want to put that picture up, that particular picture that I just described. Yeah.
All right, thank you for sharing that, Josh. All right, folks, until next time.